So as we look forward to the kickoff of the second half, obviously trade rumors, man. A lot of people have the trade deadline on their minds. Trade deadline coming up on March 25th. A couple names, the couple consistent names that are being bandied about, Ian. It's the Oladipos, the Lonzos, and so on. What are you hearing as of late?
Lonzo, as of a few weeks ago, I was told that the price was still pretty high, and then there was a report more recently that the Pelicans actually weren't open to moving Lonzo. But I have to imagine that if a team offers enough, you can get Lonzo Ball in the trade. The thing about that though is, if you like him, he's going to be a restricted free agent this summer. So how much are you really going to give up just to get him in your program for a few months and then to hope to re-sign him? I mean, I guess there's some value in that, but I think most teams would say we're just going to wait for the offseason if they want to throw Lonzo Ball a lot of money. And I know at least one person, several people, I should say, in that Knick organization that see the value in adding Lonzo. But like everything else, it depends on the price. My best guess now is you're more likely to see a move to bring on a veteran, maybe boost the offense, maybe a shooter. JJ Redick, I think, is on the radar. So I think that's more likely move, like a Redick type, than trading a lot for an Oladipo or a bigger name player like that.
Yeah, I mean, Al, I don't know what you think, but with Lonzo, with Oladipo, that's my thinking. I don't really want to give up. I don't really want to give up a Kev or a young player or anything for a guy that could potentially be a rental going into the offseason. You just don't know. They're saying Oladipo might want to choose Miami, and I don't know. For that type of player, I think I'd rather wait until free agency if they really want him.
Yeah, I guess if you're really serious about Lonzo, sort of to Ian's point, you get the restricted free agent rights there, which is important if you're trying to retain him. You can shield yourself against some other team going crazy with an offer, or in the case of like if you're the Knicks and you're trying to wait till the summer for Lonzo, you shield yourself from having to give up a huge amount of money to retain him potentially, or to get him, I should say. But I wouldn't give up a ton. Same goes for Oladipo, who if he's Miami bound, then why why even go for him? But I would say, that as with both of them, I wonder if maybe the cost is maybe lower than what we might think. I don't think that people would have thought Derrick Rose would be available for a second round pick, and Dennis Smith Jr. when there's allegedly sort of a bidding war for him where the Clippers were interested, the Knicks were interested, whatever. So maybe it'll surprise you and the price is lower than you think. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, just from the standpoint of would I do it, I wouldn't do it if it costs anything significant, because what's the point,
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just stand pat with what we have, and if there's an offer to be made where the cost is low, certainly look at it. Lonzo might not be a bad option in the offseason, depending on how the draft goes. His 3-point numbers up there. Last 10, he's shooting 40% from three in his last 10. So you're hoping that the shot is real. He can facilitate. He can defend. So I think I would keep Lonzo move in the back pocket in the offseason, depending on how the draft goes, for sure. Ian, what about like a Rozier? That's another name we always hear about. That Rozier for like 3 years, man. Is it finally, is it real?
Well, last year, like before the deadline, I know that Knicks had interest in Rozier, and actually, I think a package with Randall was something that was discussed internally. It's funny to think about that now with the way Randall has played this year. But I think with Rozier, I think it's just about what Charlotte's thinking longer term. I think more likely there, they do have the log jam in the backcourt. But I think more likely there is Devontae Graham is the player that gets traded. Rozier's played so well recently, and so I think that teams are going to call on him. But I think you would really have to knock Charlotte's socks off, so to speak, to get deep into a conversation on Rozier just because of his age, the way he's played lately. So, I'm sure that teams, again, will call there, but I would expect there's a move to be made for Charlotte. Probably Graham is the first one to be moved.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at Graham, we had our own Graham in quickly, man. So I'd rather just see IQ get those minutes. But, with Rozier as well, Charlotte has something to play for. They're right in the mix in terms of the playoff hunt as well. So, and he seems to be a guy that's been, a spark in that offense. So I'm not so sure, Al, if Rozier would be that piece for us. But we need the shooting, man. We definitely need the shooting. Alex, from that standpoint, is there a play that you have on your mind that you feel like could give this roster a spark?
Oh man, as far as like a trade player
Yeah.
or I don't know if there's anybody that really leaps out to me. I guess maybe if you're talking about guys, I guess the Hornets are very popular as far as this is concerned. If you could pry Malik Monk from them, if
Yeah.
although the whole reason you want him is because he's playing well lately, so I doubt that they're going to be lining up to trade him. But he could be a guy that could potentially provide things that the Knicks need: shooting, a little bit of extra ball handling. Um, and same deal as with Lonzo. Although you're dealing with this with Frank now too this offseason, he's a restricted free agent. So if you really like him, that Kentucky connection is shining through, all that, you get a chance to re-sign him on your terms in the offseason rather than having to go crazy with a restricted free agent bid. So maybe a guy I'd look into. But I think if you're doing that, I wouldn't do it just in a vacuum. Like, I would do that if there was a situation where you were trading out, say, a Burks for some other asset and then giving up a small asset in return to get Monk, sort of get a little younger, get someone who's maybe more part of the long-term future. But that's about it for me. Otherwise, I'm kind of with you. I don't feel this urgency to change things up because the chemistry is so good. That's part of what's made this team so great this year.
Yeah, the chemistry's been pretty good. I just feel like between Burks and Bullock, they just got to do their job, man. They just got to shoot the ball more consistently is what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Especially Bullock in that starting lineup. You want him to be able to get those threes off in volume and really be a spark in the offense. Despite Julius's prowess and getting the team together and being an excellent playmaker, the offense is still near the bottom of the league.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you find no arguments from me there.
Yeah. Indeed. Let's go to the phones, Al. Antonio from New Jersey. What's going on, bro?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Huge fan. Congrats on the channel.
Thank you, man.
I was just curious what your feedback on maybe looking at Fournier and possibly Bamba. I know you were mentioning when Robinson comes back, but I don't know, just to have him on the bench. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Fournier would definitely be an intriguing pickup, man. More so than Bamba, in my opinion. Somebody out there in the wing that can score. Looks like could Orlando be sellers? Vucevic's name has been brought up. Terrence Ross is another name that people like, but I think it could a Vucevic deal maybe trigger a sell off and maybe if Fournier shakes loose. What do you think?
Well, if they deal Vucevic, they're blowing it up, and some people think that eventually that might happen because of the guard play that they have, and maybe he doesn't fit the style that they have, but he helps them so much, and they win the games that they win. They're winning largely because of him. I don't think they're going to deal him at the deadline. Fournier, much stronger possibility because of his contract situation. So I think they will be sellers, maybe a Terrence Ross. Bamba just hasn't worked out the way Orlando's wanted it to, Bamba's wanted it to. So, I could see them getting off of those players at the deadline, but Vucevic, I don't see it happening by the deadline.
Al, what do you think about those two guys, Fournier and Bamba?
I like Fournier. I'm on board. I was talking about this with a couple people from the Strickland recently, and it was just we were kind of debating back and forth, and I could see, I think that he adds a lot of scoring depth. He could do a little more than like your Reggie Bullock or even your Alec Burks as far as handling the ball, creating his own shot, shoots great from three, all that good stuff. But, you obviously had the drop off on the defense. So then it becomes, like low key, Reggie Bullock is a pretty key piece to this defense when it's really clicking.
Tibbs loves him, man. Tibbs loves him.
Yeah. And it's not even just that Tibbs loves him because he's old or whatever. Like Tibbs loves him because he works his ass off. You know what I mean? He's out there like defending guys like crazy and, all over the court, getting blocks and steals and everything else. All these like impact plays. So you're going to lose out on that with Fournier. So you got to make sure that, if you do that, you got to feel confident that, Mitch, Randall, RJ, and, I guess maybe you're looking at Quickly as the point guard of the future, whoever the point guard is there, can kind of pick up the slack. I don't know for sure that would work. He might even be best as like a six-man type, if you could talk him into that. Be like, look, you're going to get like 30 minutes, but you're going to be coming in against second units to, feast on them a little bit. Maybe that's a good fit. So I'm into it. I like the idea. I don't know necessarily about trading for him because he is an unrestricted free agent and you're going to have tons of cap space. So maybe just wait till the summer. As far as Bamba, kind of similar to what you're saying. Maybe, on paper, he's like his draft profile was almost like a realized version, or like what the realized version of Mitch is, where people were just saying he's going to swat everything. He's going to be crazy. Like on defense, he's got like an 8-foot wingspan, he's going to be, he could shoot a little bit, he was making those empty gym 3-pointers, but that has translated a tiny bit to the NBA. I would take him for a song. You know what I mean? I would take him for nothing. Like if it was like, oh, let's swap Iggy Brasdeikis for Mo Bamba, then sure, I'm on board. If it's like, oh, we want the Mavs pick or something, like, no, pick Rocks.